Hey, I'm Daniel. Welcome to my podcast, The Filmcraziest Show. And I was given the chance to speak with some of the talent behind the new film Bingo Hell, which is one of four films in this year's edition of Welcome to Blumhouse, which is now streaming on Amazon Prime. Well, at least two of them are. It's Bingo Hell and Blackest Night are now streaming on Amazon Prime. And Bingo Hell in the barrio of Oak Springs, elderly group of people led by Lupita are trying hard not to be gentrified. Lupita is trying her best to keep the community together as a family, but that's threatened when their bingo hall turns into a bingo hell. That's when it gets sold to something more powerful than money, which is Mr. Big. And on this podcast, I was able to speak with Mr. Big himself, played by Richard Brake, who is known for films like Bingo Hell, 31, Kingsman Secret Service, as well as playing Night King on Game of Thrones. It was a very cool opportunity to speak with him. So without further ado, here is Richard Brake to introduce the podcast.
My name is Richard Brake. I play Mr. Big in Bingo Hell. Tagline for Bingo Hell. It's a crazy ride about some rather older people in love with bingo who take on one of the nastiest characters in horror in some time. And I won't let you know if they win or not. I might be the winner. You never know.
Okay, that's actually a great segue into one of my questions. But the license plate, how Mr. Big has the license plate, big winner. I'd love to ask if you had a license plate like personalized just for yourself, like what do you think it would be?
Stop worrying. I think my biggest advice to anyone always is just stop worrying. Everything always works out. I'm always such a worrier. People say, "What would you say to your younger self if you could?" And it's like, just don't worry so much. So I'd have something like, "Stop worrying."
Okay. Now, I'd love to also ask, what attracted you to Bingo Hell and playing Mr. Big?
Well, for the script was fantastic when I read it. And Gigi, the director, I mean, she's just such an imaginative and energetic and wonderful director. I'd seen some of her earlier work, which is absolutely crazy. And she just molds so many different styles of horror into her other work, and she definitely did into this film. So working with Gigi was a big part of it. The script, the character. And of course that it's Blumhouse Amazon production, and they did I think 4 of them last year, or was it the year before because of COVID. That were great. So it was being a part of that project as well. So it was, in fact, sorry, let me stop this dinging away here. My in many ways it was really nothing on. It was a checklist of like yes. There was no negatives on this one. It was I definitely want to do it. I mean, it was such a great project from start to finish.
Okay. Do you usually like pick your projects, or do the projects usually pick you?
A mixture of both. There's some that pick me. There's many that come my way, especially in the horror genre, that I pick from. One of the things with horror, because I've done quite a few of them, and some notable ones with Rob Zombie. And I'm sent often many horror scripts in different stages of development. And the ones that always stand out to me are the ones that aren't just horrific or terrifying, but also have a lot more to say. I think the best horror has more than just the scares in there. It has kind of either a message, or there's something in there that's a deeper meaning, has more levels. And I think, again, this was one of the great things about Bingo Hell, is that it says a lot more than just does more than just terrifies you. There's so many different messages in this film. And right away, I noticed that when I first read it. And that's one of my big plus marks when I choose a project, is it, especially in a horror film, does it have more to say than just trying to scare you? And this one definitely does. Definitely.
Okay, great. Now, I was talking to your co-star, L. Scott Caldwell, and she was saying how quickly you can get into your character. So what's your process like getting into the character of Mr. Big?
I think that's partly from years of playing such nasty characters. I find it easier and easier the older I get, the more often I do it. I think a lot of my process is just having fun, especially with a character like Mr. Big. I mean, what kind of actor gets to choose? You're so lucky as an actor to get to play someone who's so extremely evil and in this case, a real showman as well. And any time that I have to play these characters that are, shall we say, not very pleasant. One of my big things is early on in my career, because I was playing these guys from the beginning, really was to realize that, just don't be afraid to take your imagination to these very dark places. I feel it's almost my responsibility as an actor to just kind of go there where other people maybe don't want to in their own imagination. So I just let myself do it. And now it's like second nature. The nice thing is I can turn it off, thankfully, for my girlfriend and all my kids. So I can come home and turn off a Mr. Big and just bring him on when I'm on set.
Okay. Do you turn it off in between takes? Like, how are you with your co-stars?
I stay a little close to it, but I definitely turn it off because I don't think anyone would like me if I had kept him going the whole time while we're having lunch. So yeah, I usually shut him down and have a good laugh, and then we get back to it. I mean, one of the great things about doing horror films is a lot of people thinks, when I'm on a Rob film or when we're doing Bingo Hell, that there's a lot of tension and everybody's, very, very, like the film itself in a state of anxiety. And the actual truth is that on horror films, especially, we just have a laugh. I mean, it's just so much fun to make them that, we're laughing the whole time. On Bingo Hell, all the time when the camera wasn't rolling, we were just giggling and laughing, especially when we're covered with goo and blood as much as we are in the second half of the film.
Yeah,
especially me, covered in goo. I'm covered in goo for days while we're shooting.
Yeah, a surprising amount of goo in this film.
Yeah.
Now, I'd love to ask, like, on set, was Gigi always like, okay, Richard, could you smile more? Or like, what's the balance of using that smile as the character?
Definitely. I had to say, Gigi, I really don't think I should smile in this scene. I just smiled. I'm smiling so much. People are just going to get sick of my big smile. But no, sometimes I just naturally smile. I just find myself smiling. I just giggling and smiling all the time. So I had to like hold my smile in a few times while doing Mr. Big. I just don't think Gigi's going to smile at this point. She's like, no, go for it. Give us a big smile.
She was telling me that she wrote or Shane had written like different like ways, like different synonyms for like, okay, sinister smile, then this kind of smile. It's pretty great. I feel like it's such like a signature part of like Richard Brake that I was surprised it wasn't on your IMDb trademarks.
True. Which is funny. I will say, like, my career really kicked off in my 30s because my teeth I got like wisdom teeth came in and it made all my teeth start getting all wonky and everything. And I think then my smile just got terrifying. And ever since then, I haven't stopped working. Sort of the uglier I get, the busier I am.
Looking forward to more projects then, eh?
Yeah.
That's great. Now, are there any characters where like you kind of like obviously this is one where you have to use your smile a lot, but are there any that you like they're like less smile, Richard?
Yeah, quite a few actually. I mean, one of the nice things is I live over in London. I work a lot in Europe, and I get to do a lot of different stuff, which is a lot of fun. I don't get sort of pigeonholed into too much horror and too many other, too much of one genre. I was in Peaky Blinders. I don't think I smiled through the whole thing. I think I played a Russian that did not like to smile. I've done in many ways actually. When I'm looking for a project, I like some that are underplayed. Like I did a movie called Perfect Skin, a small little independent British film a few years back, and that character was very, very very kind of underplayed as opposed to Mr. Big, which is the other extreme. I mean, Gigi kept pushing me to go bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm like, Gigi, I think it's a little big. She goes, no, keep going, keep on. I'm like, all right. My natural instinct is to keep kind of underplaying, believe it or not. This was, and again, what's so great with Gigi, and I find the same when I work with Rob Zombie. They reminded me of each other in many ways, is that I felt very secure working with her. I knew she had my back. Because when you play a character like Mr. Big, you as an actor, your instinct is to be a little bit worried about being so huge and so big on screen that you look like a fool, really. And Gigi, I knew Gigi had my back. I knew she would lead me in the right direction. And I trusted her the whole time, which is a big thing for me, to trust my director. And no doubt I trusted Gigi. She was the best.
That's great. I'm sure she'd love being compared to Rob Zombie. That feels like a great compliment.
Yeah, she's a big fan, I think. We
Okay.
chatted quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, I'd also love to ask, do you consider yourself a character actor, or do you feel like you've been
Oh,
labeled as one?
absolutely. I love being a character actor.
Okay.
I think it's my heroes were the character actors from the 70s and the late 60s. I loved Warren Oates and Bruce Dern when he was more of a character actor. I mean, he's done a number of leads, but I love those real gritty character actors we had back in the day, and we still do today. But I really, in my less humble moments, like to think of myself as part of that lineage. And another great one, Harry Dean Stanton, just an incredible character actor. And again, I love it when I get a chance to play a lead every once in a while, like with Perfect Skin. It's a great opportunity to kind of try and do that, and I love doing it. But my dream as a young actor was to be a grizzled old character actor, and here I am, 56 years old, getting to be one.
Oh, that's
Nothing
great.
better than living your dream when you're an old man.
You don't look 56, man.
Oh, thank you.
Been watching you for years, but yeah, you don't look. Now, like with all the characters you've played, I love the introduction to Mr. Big. So I'd be curious, do you have a favorite like introduction to a character throughout your career? Maybe the one on Game of Thrones, perhaps?
Game of Thrones, I've been lucky. I've had some great introductions. Mr. Big was definitely one of my favorites. And even in the script, I could tell that was going to be a fantastic introduction. So I was excited about that one. I love 31's introduction. I come in, I got that 3 or 4 or 5 minute monologue. I don't think you can beat having a 5-minute monologue to introduce your character with at the opening of a movie. And
Right.
Game of Thrones. Oh, Game of Thrones was rather subtle, though. I think I picked a baby up and touched it. That was my introduction to Game of Thrones, which I had to do at the audition, which was a bit stressed. Like, why are they having me pretend to pick a baby up and touch it? But there you go.
I feel like that's such a big intro because it was so anticipated, right?
Yeah. And no one knew who he was for ages. They finally, oh, he's the king of the White Walkers. Okay. I didn't even know who he was. They
Oh,
hired me.
really?
No, all I was told is I was going to have prosthetics, not speak, and be on screen for about a minute, if that.
Wow.
I thought, oh God, this is what my career's come to. Little did I know.
You thought you were the unnamed henchman number 2.
Exactly.
That's perfect. I think we might have touched on it, but just I got Needful Things vibes from this film with Bingo Hell. So I'd be curious if any like actors inspired your performance as Mr. Big.
Well, what vibes did you get?
Needful Things,
Oh, um,
at least in premise.
yeah, no, they didn't. I tell you what did inspire the look a bit, because one of the great things about this film was both all of the departments were, all of the talent involved, not just in front of the screen but behind the screen, were incredible, and the costume department and the hair and makeup department were wonderful. And when I got there, we just started, coming together with how he would look. I mean, obviously Gigi had a lot of ideas already in place.
Sure.
But choosing of the suits and then the hair and the makeup, I said we were doing my hair cutting. I think I arrived with like quite long hair and a beard because I've been on another film, and they cut me down, and I went, oh, you know what I want to look like? I said David Bowie in the 1970s when he was sort of the thin white Duke look, when he was very like he had coiffured sort of back hair and was just thin and suited and booted. So that was kind of part of the look was Bowie back in the 70s, that kind of showman, absolute showman look. So I had a bit of inspiration from David Bowie with the look, but in terms of the craziness and the madness, there was no Bowie in there, that's for sure, but definitely the look.
That's all Richard Brake.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that, suited and booted.
Yeah.
No, I think I have time for one more. So I just love to I've done the press day for Bingo Hell, and I've asked pretty much all of them what it was like working with you. So I've got to switch it around. What was it like working with the great casting crew here?
Honestly, again, that was another thing that was a big check. I mean, when do you get to work with the Tony Award winner? Scotty Caldwell, Academy Award nominee, Adriana. I mean, she was amazing. We're all amazing. It was and even he had Joshua, who's, the youngest of our cast, was incredible in Good Lord Bird. And so honestly, one of the most talented casts that I've worked with on anything. And what was great was like all these grizzled, all of us, like these, just a real veteran group of actors, working together. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot. In fact, I learned as much, watching Adriana was incredible, and Scotty and all of them, but also from Joshua. I learned a lot from him, and he's 16, and I'm 56, and his poise and his confidence and sort of stillness as an actor, at that age, it was incredible. I could barely make my own cereal when I was 16. I'm watching him, and he's doing scene after scene with such grace. I think I learned a lot from working with all of them, as much as I have in anything. So it was great. It was a real treat to do this film.
Okay. Okay, great. Now, sorry, my mind goes to memes a lot, and you keep saying you're 56. Have you seen that video where Kevin Hart is like, "Damn," when Don Cheadle says his age?
No, I haven't seen that. I got to Google it afterwards.
It's this funny thing where they're just talking, and Don Cheadle says, "Yeah," and I'm 56, and Kevin Hart just like in his mind is like, "Damn." So it was just like, I'm like, wow, I kind of want to reenact that. Check it out
afterwards, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. I think that was my time. So I'd love to thank you, Richard Brake, for chatting with me on the Film Craziest show. It was great meeting you.
You too. Thank you.
Awesome. Right. Hey, thanks so much for checking out that podcast. It was a super cool opportunity to get to chat with Richard Brake. And I was also able to chat with one of the film's writers, Shane Mackenzie, the film's director, Gigi, as well as one of the main actress as Lupita, Adriana Barraza, as well as L. Scott Caldwell. So stay tuned for more coverage as well of the next film, Blackest Night.